To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
News team, assemble!
Joining us live because if you want to know anything about the Outer Banks, Sam Walker's the dude to fill you in.
The sea was angry that day, my friends. Like an old man trying to send back soup in a deli.
Always appreciate talking to you.
Always good stuff with Sam Walker in the Outer Banks.
Now here's Les Nessman and the news.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to OBX Today for Monday, October the 18th, 2021. Glad to have you along with us here on Facebook Live and our YouTube channel as we get you rolling for another week here in mid-October on with OBX Today Live. And coming up, some new details about a new service that we're going to be offering through Jam Media Services here on the Outer Banks and really all over the world. With our new digital media platform that we're rolling out today. We got details about that. Very quiet in the tropics right now. Will that last? Well, we'll find out. We'll talk about that. And all the other days' headlines as well. Let's first start off with our top story that we got late Friday. Friday news dump. Never a good thing. Mainly because it's tough to follow up when you have so many questions about some of these stories we get. And not unusual to see something like this come from the federal government as the Occupational Safety and Health Administration did release its findings on an incident that happened during the demolition of the Herbert C. Bonner Bridge back in April. A federal workplace safety investigation found that established procedures were ignored, causing a welder to fall more than 50 feet to his death when a section of the Herbert C. Bonner Bridge collapsed on April 14th. Jose Armando Maqueda Mejia, 42 of Mans Harbor, who family and friends called El Guerrero, died when the last remaining horizontal section of the bridge, built in 1963 over Oregon Inlet, fell. Now, according to the news release issued Friday by the Department of Labor's and OSHA, the Mejia working for PCL Constructors and was torch cutting cross beams on that last section of navigation span that remains standing over the inlet, where the company had also placed sections of concrete that had been cut away and stacked for removal. Investigators determined the concrete's weight caused the structure to collapse, and for Mejia to fall, PCL Constructors, lead contractor for the project, build the Mark Bassenite Bridge and demolition of the Bonner Bridge. They were cited for 2 serious violations for failure to use engineering surveys or calculations to control the structure's stability and avoid unplanned collapses. OSHA also found the employer overloaded bridge sections beyond weight capacity and exposed workers to struck by and crushed by hazards. OSHA has proposed $23,210 in penalties. According to Kimberly Morton, who is OSHA Area Director in Raleigh, PCL violated federal safety standards and a worker needlessly died as a result. They had followed well-known standards. This tragic loss of life could have been prevented. That's from Morton's statement. Friends and families of Mejia have called for the Bonner Bridge Pier that opens to the public on October 1st to be named in his honor. In his obituary, Armando was described as a dedicated dad, husband, son, brother, cousin, nephew, brother-in-law, son-in-law, and friend. There is a GoFundMe that was established for the family back in April when this happened, and that's still active. You can find the link at obxtoday.com. This isn't the first incident that PCL was involved during construction or involved with since construction of the Bassenite Bridge started back in 2016. In 2017, workers for PCL accidentally cut transmission lines that carry electricity to Hatteras and Ocracoke. That was adjacent to between the new bridge and the old bridge, just south of the South Landing. A worker was taking sheet piling and had taken a piece of support for that sheet piling and just vibrated into the ground to hold it up while it was being moved. And when they did, they cut 2 of the 3 lines that were underground. Of course, that knocked out power and essentially shut down Hatteras and Ocracoke Island to visitors right in the height of the season in August, and forced an evacuation that lasted 6 days because they were only able to run generators for so much. And PCL agreed to pay $10.3 million in a settlement with businesses, homeowners, and vacationers who lost out on money due to the outage. Took 6 days, like I said, to get power back when that happened. So that is the latest on the investigation. A lot of questions, of course, coming up as regards to why such a, what would be considered a small fine. That's one of the reasons why we're not too pleased. A lot of people are not pleased that this came out on a Friday. So it didn't give us a chance to really follow up with OSHA on this to get some information regarding why the fine would be considered low, or what many consider to be low. From what we've been able to deduce so far, there have been much larger fines for similar incidents, but at the same time, there have been fines that are very similar for similar. It's kind of varied. A lot of factors play into that. Think of it this way, that they do have some standards they have to follow, similar to sentencing structuring for criminal cases, where there's only so much that they can charge, so much that they can give as a penalty, based on a variety of factors. So again, OSHA fining PCL $23,000 for the death of El Guerrero back in April. And we'll keep an eye on this. We're going to get some follow-up questions in today to try to get a little more detail about what exactly went on. A couple minutes after 8 o'clock, that means the school buses are out and about, kind of winding their runs down this morning. And if you've been out on the roads any this morning, you might have seen extra highway patrol out this morning, more than you may normally see, and they're following buses in some locations. This is Operation Stop Arm Week in North Carolina, and the highway patrol, along with local law enforcement, aggressively enforcing stop arm and other traffic violations in and around school zones and school bus stops. The operation running daily from 6 a.m. through 5 p.m. all this week. It's running in conjunction with National School Bus Safety Week. The ultimate goal, of course, is to help educate and spread awareness and work to prevent needless tragedies involving our children. That's from Colonel Freddie Johnson, Jr., commander of the North Carolina State Highway Patrol. Johnson went on to say all roadway users can join our commitment to putting an end to stop school bus violations by adhering to speed limits and avoiding distractions. We can make great strides in reaching this attainable goal. Passing a stopped school bus in North Carolina is a Class 1 misdemeanor, and if convicted, the person receives 5 driving points in their license and subject to fines of up to $500. Passing a stopped school bus is a Class 1 felony if the driver strikes an individual, and Class H felony should that violation result in a death. There are some rules of the road to follow when it comes to stopped school buses. We've got a chart at obxtoday.com. And one of the big questions that always comes up, what do you do if there's a school bus stopped on a road that's got 5 lanes and a turn lane, such as 158, 168 from Currituck, from the state line down to the Wright Memorial Bridge, and then from Kitty Hawk to Nags Head, the 5 lanes there on 158, the bypass. And the rules are in North Carolina that if you're on the opposite side of the bus, if you're, say, traveling north and the bus is traveling south and the bus stops, only those traveling in the same direction as the bus have to stop. With a 5-lane highway that has a turn lane, or a 4-lane highway that has a median separation, say out on 17 outside of Elizabeth City towards Edenton in Hertford. That's one of the few roads that actually has that here in the Northeast. Those two types of road, you do not have to stop for the bus. But if you are traveling on, say, in Manio, and you go through Manio, and that's a 3-lane road with a turn lane, You do have to stop in both directions. That's, well, a 2-lane road with its center turn lane. Everybody's got to stop. But with a 4-lane road that has a divider or a turn lane in the center, going in the opposite direction, you don't have to stop. 4-lane road without one, it's just got a yellow line through the middle of it. You have to stop in both directions. So that's how that works. We've got the details on that at obxtoday.com. Of course, remember, we've got the school zones that are marked. Most of them go down to 35 miles an hour with the lighted signs on 158 and 168 in Currituck and Dare counties. And they're out usually enforcing those pretty tight, especially, of course, after the tragedy that happened up here in Currituck back earlier this fall, last month, with a girl that was trying to cross or had crossed 158 at the high school in Currituck, and then had dropped something, went back in the road, and was struck by a vehicle and passed away from her injuries. Again, the Highway Patrol and local law enforcement out enforcing school bus laws with their pretty strictly this week during Operation Stop Arm. Some more news for you this morning from a variety of our sources. North Carolina judge wants an update on why a funding roadmap he endorsed that's designed to reduce public education inequities among students has not been carried out so far. Superior Court Judge David Lee has scheduled a hearing for today in the long-running Leandro school funding case. He said that the legislature and Governor Cooper should fully fund the remedial spending plan, in particular by earmarking a $1.7 billion for it through mid-2023. Lee wrote last month that he was prepared to issue judicial remedies if he didn't see concrete action by today. But Republican lawmakers and the Democratic governor are still in budget talks that includes K-12 spending. House Democratic leader Robert Reeves suggested last week it's possible judicial action is delayed since budget negotiations are ongoing. GOP lawmakers have bristled at arguments that Lee can force the General Assembly to spend certain levels of money. So we'll see what happens with that today in Raleigh. There has been a lot of pushback from the legislature, especially over a judge weighing in, and those who are outside groups that rail against judicial involvement into political matters such as this. But the Leandro case has been around a long time. That was when poor school systems and people who live there sued the state over not funding what's called a sound basic education as dictated in specific language in the North Carolina state constitution. So we'll see how that goes today. We just got breaking news as we're coming on this morning. This just coming across the wires that former Secretary of State Colin Powell has died of complications due to COVID-19. Powell had several other health issues and was fully vaccinated. He has passed away at age 84. Again, former Secretary of State Colin Powell dying due to complications of COVID-19 at age 84. That's just coming across the wire now as we continue here on OBX Today Live. Our friends down at the Ocracoke Observer, Pete Vankevich and Connie Leinbach, always doing great work covering what's going on Ocracoke Island. Connie's got a story up over the weekend about the latest on that search for a missing West Virginia woman, 27-year-old Savannah Grant. James Weekly and his friends doing whatever it takes to find some resolution to the whereabouts of his niece. She went missing in a boating accident last Saturday, off Portsmouth Island. Weekly is a brother of the missing woman's mother. He's also close friends with, and he, along with close friends DJ Taft and Debbie Costello, all of Grafton, West Virginia, arrived on Ocracoke back on Tuesday after the Coast Guard suspended its search the previous day. With North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission, law enforcement has jurisdiction on this, what's being considered a boating accident. Their investigation continues. We've not gotten updated details from what we had talked about last week. If you weren't with us, I did get a little more information about what went on with this incident that happened between Portsmouth Island and Ocracoke on Ocracoke Inlet. 3 people, Savannah Grant, along with her boyfriend Jason Quickle and their friend John Pearson, have been camping on Portsmouth Island and then were trying to get back to Ocracoke to where their vehicle was parked. They had actually taken a john boat and a kayak across Ocracoke Inlet through the Pamlico Sound, across the inlet over to Portsmouth Island, had been camping. Their camping permit had expired. You only get so much time that you can camp consecutively on these on Park Service lands, especially on such as this, where you're allowed to camp more traditionally, rather than, here at Cape Hatteras National Seashore, you can only camp at the campgrounds. In Cape Lookout, because it's remote and essentially wild, you're allowed to camp pretty much where they have designated areas you camp. There are cabins that are available on Cape Lookout. This group of 3 people had taken a kayak and a canoe and gone over along with their dog. They decided they had to come back on last Saturday, a week ago, this past Saturday. And of course, we know what happened then that was the height of the worst of the winds from that pesky low that had been parked offshore for a couple of days. And their kayak and canoe overturned. There was gale force winds, gusts of up to 45 miles an hour. Ernie Dozier, who is Ocracoke's assistant fire chief and captain of the Gecko, said he and Deputy Sheriff Blackburn Warner, after hearing a 911 call from the group, took Dozier's boat and got into the inlet about 20 minutes before the Coast Guard. But when the Coast Guard got there, the light was very low. Dozier said the rain squalls were coming through and you couldn't see anything. The tide was rolling out, and it took them to the ocean. There's no doubt about that, because that's where they found the 2 men. Jason Quickle was found alongside a green, it was a john boat, approximately 2.8 miles offshore, green kayak, approximately 2.8 miles offshore of Drum Inlet. That's 22 miles to the south. He was found the next morning. He was taken to Carteret Hospital in Morehead City for treatment and was released on the following Tuesday. Second survivor, John Pearson, who made the 911 call, was found on Great Island by a Good Samaritan. He was reportedly swimming to shore and had last seen Savannah in the early morning hours of Sunday. Now, according to our sources at North Carolina Wildlife Resources, Pearson was found on the ocean side, almost 30 miles to the south. A couple of drum fishermen down near Great Island. Great Island is actually on the sound side of the Cape Lookout National, so sound side of the core banks. He was found trying to get into shore by a couple of drum fishermen down that far south, almost 30 miles to the south of Ocracoke Inlet. And from what he said was that Savannah had been last seen early Sunday. Now we've got this. There's 2 groups that are currently searching for Grant, or were searching for Grant, headed into the weekend. And they were asking for help. Could anyone that could possibly locate her with tracking dogs or whatever they could, and aid in the search along Portsmouth Island, Cedar Island, and Great Island. Weekly and Cost, the 2 did not tried not to break down as they talked about Savannah, who has cystic fibrosis, about her possible fate. But the trio said they won't take no for an answer. One of this group that's came down to search has 15 years of experience as an emergency responder. They've said they've never come back empty-handed without some closure for a family. Part of that closure will be to piece together what really happened, since the 3 have gotten conflicting stories about various aspects of the incident. Weekly's sister has set up a GoFundMe page called Bring Savannah Home. There's a link at ocracokeobserver.com on that. There was they've spent several trips down. On Thursday, in fact, several of the people that came down from West Virginia flew in a Cessna piloted by a Marine pilot and searched Portsmouth Island for 4 hours, and they almost went to Jacksonville, he said. They were hoping the Civil Air Patrol could help. They've contacted someone with drones, and they're also getting flyers made up with Savannah's photo. A few locals with airplanes have been searching as well. And off-island homeowners donated the use of her house in Ocracoke for these folks to stay in as long as they need. So that's the latest on the search for Savannah Jane Grant, who disappeared a week ago Saturday in Ocracoke Inlet. Still no signs. We haven't got an update. Hopefully we'll get some more information. Hopefully, and it would be great to get some great information about this. You have to hold out hope, and hopefully things do turn out well there. All right, finally, before we take a break, back on Friday evening, there was a vessel with 2 people on board reported a hydraulic leak about 16 miles southeast of Hatteras Inlet. Coast Guard came out and helped them. Commercial salvage was unable to respond, and at 5:15 Friday, the Coast Guard's search and rescue vessel from Station Hatteras Inlet went out and were able to get those folks back in and tow them to Teach's Lair. So good news there. Some pretty cool photos we got from Coast Guard on that rescue they did on Friday. All right, it's OBX Today. We've got more coming up here for you on this Monday morning, so stay tuned.
Get ready for the Dare to Scare 5K and Sweet Treat Fun Run on Saturday, October 23rd. Sponsored by the Dare County Center. The 3.1-mile course begins at the Coastal Studies Institute, winding through Psycho and along the trails ending at the Dare County Center. This is a rain or shine event, with all proceeds benefiting the Dare County Center annual toy drive. So get ready for the Dare to Scare 5K and Sweet Treat Fun Run on Saturday, October 23rd. For more information, to register, or to volunteer, go to www.darenc.com/DC Center.
And welcome back to OBX Today here on Facebook, on the OBX Today Facebook page, and the Sam Walker OBX YouTube channel. Today, a very big day for us at Jam Media Solutions. We are launching Jam Media Services today. A new one-stop shop website design and maintenance company called Jam Digital Services. WordPress powers approximately 1/3 of all the web, including some of the largest, most complex properties on the internet. For businesses, your website's the face of your company online, and we're going to offer we're going to offer the services. Jam Digital Services puts your best face forward with a beautiful custom design website. It looks and functions great on all devices from desktop to mobile. All packages include basic SEO services to help your website rank highly on Google and Bing, along with social media integration and contact forms to help customers reach you easily. And you won't have to find a home for your website. All packages include fast, secure hosting and maintenance and security updates for one fair monthly price. Jam Digital Services will also be providing additional services such as email marketing, mobile geofencing, search and site targeting, and video services. For more information, visit jamdigitalservices.com or click on the ad here on OBX Today and see how we can build a website for you. This is available around the world. So no matter where you're at, if you're on the Outer Banks or anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, Jam Digital Services can help you. So visit obxtoday.com right now. Click on the ad. You'll see it right on the front page, and you'll be able to find out more about what we have to offer. A new law was signed on Friday called the No Patient Left Alone Act, signed by Governor Cooper. During the coronavirus pandemic, especially the first months of restrictions, loved ones were not allowed to visit patients in hospitals and other healthcare settings. Result that people died without a loved one present. For more than a year, state lawmakers have worked on a bill to make sure that won't happen again. The law becoming effective November 1st, visitation must be allowed for patients or residents in the following settings: hospitals, nursing homes and combination homes, hospice care facilities, adult care homes, and special care units, along with residential treatment facilities. Locations in North Carolina must follow the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, the CDC, or any federal law about visitation. A $500 penalty will be per instance per day after a 24-hour warning period. Families of patients must also be provided with the facility's visitation rules and contact information. Compassionate care visits are also required under the new law. The Department of Health and Human Services praised the bill sponsors in a statement sent to the News and Observer. The new law declares that visitation rights will not be impacted during declared states of emergencies and disasters. According to the bill, the COVID-19 pandemic caused great uncertainty and anxiety across our state and has significantly affected patients and residents in healthcare facilities. The bill also includes that while healthcare facilities made many efforts to keep patients and employees in a safe environment, those COVID-19 prevention measures resulted in unintended consequences for patients or residents who are not diagnosed with COVID-19. Earlier this year, Bill Lamb, board chair of Friends of Residents and Long-Term Care, told the News and Observer that early in the pandemic, it was difficult to know what to do about visitation rules. The final version of the bill passed the General Assembly October 6th with a unanimous vote. And when an earlier version of the bill passed the Senate in May, it was called a small step to make sure it would never happen again in North Carolina. A similar bill in 2020 failed to pass. In September, Cooper signed into law a similar bill called House Bill 351 called Clifford's Law, which requires visitation protocols for nursing homes during emergencies to be established by the Department of Health and Human Services Secretary. More than 17,000 North Carolinians have died from COVID-19 since the start of the pandemic in 2020. State retirees are calling on state lawmakers to follow the lead of Social Security, which boosted benefits for next year by 5.9%, the largest increase in 39 years, to keep up with inflation. But those who get state pensions have continued to lose ground to inflation since a recession more than a decade ago. Unlike Social Security's, North Carolina's state pension system is not linked to the cost of living. Instead, state lawmakers decide when and by how much to increase payments, and they haven't approved a significant boost in about 12 years. Richard Rogers, executive director of the North Carolina Retired Governmental Employees Association, told WRAL that inflation is real. The teachers and state employees retirement system serves nearly 234,000 retirees and survivors in North Carolina, earning an average annual pension of almost $21,100. Rogers said state retirees' pension checks have lost so much ground to inflation in recent years that they're getting only 84 cents to the dollar. This year, with a state budget surplus nearly $8 billion, retired state workers are asking for a 2% permanent increase to their pensions. Governor Cooper's budget proposal included that 2% raise plus a 2% bonus both this year and next year. The House budget had the one-time bonuses but no permanent raise, while the Senate didn't include anything for retired workers in its proposed budget. A final budget is being negotiated by legislative leaders in Cooper's administration. House Speaker Tim Moore said a permanent increase is on the table during the budget negotiations. Rogers said a bonus would be welcome, but it does not help maintain pension values in the long run. So that's something to be watched for. As maybe we may see a little bit more this week come out from what we're gathering and what we've seen over the last week. Governor Cooper's administration sent a budget proposal back to the legislature, and the legislature is now, their negotiators are going through that and are expected to come back with another counter proposal this week. The plan was to get a budget passed by the end of the month, but it looks like it's going to be more like November before that happens. So legislature still in the long session, and it's going to be one of the longest in North Carolina history. Attendance for the first 3 days of the North Carolina State Fair has been down, with about 70,000 fewer people attending the first 3 days compared to 2019. Kent Yelverton, who's manager of the State Fair, said they really didn't know what to expect this year, and said that they know it's not right for some year for some people to come back, but they are excited to be open and feel that those come are having a great time. This year's opening day attendance of 27,209 was the lowest opening day attendance since 1994. Saturday's attendance at 83,737, the lowest for that day since 1997 when it rained part of the day. But most of the vendors that are working said that they don't think their business has been impacted by the attendance numbers. One of the folks running a vendor, one of the vendors, Lobster Dogs of Raleigh, said they estimated they did about 50% more business on Sunday over Saturday and 100% more than the first day of the fair. So it started off a bit slow, but things had really picked up. Sunday's attendance numbers won't be out till later this afternoon. But fairgoers told several of the TV stations in Raleigh that were out there, the crowd size did not feel different from past years. Second Saturday is typically the busiest day of the fair. All right, we got more on here on this Monday edition of OBX Today coming up for you, so stick around.
There's a lot I enjoy about working for the ferry division.
I've been surrounded by water my whole life, always wanted to work on the water, and the 7 days on, 7 days off isn't bad at all because you can get off and do your hobbies.
It is a great place to work. You can work yourself up. You have to be your own motivator. We cannot do it for you. And it's a great outdoor job. If you like the outdoors, this is a perfect job for you. If you like boats, this is a perfect job for you.
The things I enjoy most about being on the water is, of course, our office, which is spectacular.
I like my schedule, 7 days on and 7 days off, because it does give me time to pursue my other interests.
I've always loved working on the water. I've worked on the water my entire working career. I play on the water when I'm not working on the water. I enjoy the interaction with our passengers.
Working at the ferry is really awesome. You have a week on and a week off. It's a great summer job. We have a lot of college students and high school students that come and work for their summers. But if you want to stay, there's a lot of support. Everybody helps you, brings you up.
And we're back here on OBX Today, on the OBX Today Facebook channel and the YouTube channel. Just search Sam Walker OBX and you'll find it. Or search OBX Today on YouTube and you can find it. Watch it on the big screen. Not that you want to see me on the big screen. Marsha Bryant, who's Vice President of Clinical Operations and Chief Nursing Officer of the Outer Banks Hospital, was recently honored with the Daisy Award for Extraordinary Nurses. The award is part of the Daisy Foundation's programs to recognize the superhuman work nurses perform every day. Bryant received the Daisy Nurse Leader Award for the initiative she led to establish the Outer Banks Hospital as the first dementia-friendly hospital in North Carolina back in April of 2018. By fostering the relationship between the hospital and the Health Carolinians Dementia Task Force, Bryant developed a joint community and hospital team to support innovative changes that created the dementia-friendly designation. Through partnership, the Outer Banks then became the first dementia-friendly community in the state. Out of that work, the purple seahorse symbol was created and has become an identifying seal for businesses that undergo dementia-friendly training. Since that time, Brian has supported additional healthcare systems, both nationally and internationally, to foster dementia-friendly environments. We've got more about what Marsha's done at obxtoday.com on the Neighbor to Neighbor Help Zone. Of course, talking last week with the OBX Dementia Task Force, their work that they're doing with that tennis tournament that's coming up this weekend to raise money to expand the services they offer. So if you go back and look on our stories at obxtoday.com, we got more about that again in the Neighbor to Neighbor Help Zone. All right, let's get into some weather. First off, of course, we finally got some real cool weather around. And someone made a comment about the summer mentioned in the in the spot from Merman Dan makes that point about the ferry division spot in the summer, and it's cold outside. Yeah, it is. It's much colder than we've had. First real fall weather we had. Now, that's one reason why maybe that up in the mountains, things have really not peaked yet with the leaves up in the North Carolina mountains. So we haven't hit the peak fall colors yet. Probably going to be a bit delayed this year. That's because of the warmer weather that we have been having. Appalachian State's weekly fall color report has said that they're still mostly green from up along the Blue Ridge Parkway. And a lot of what we're seeing, there's some color that's been right around 4,000 feet up in the mountains. Around here, it's pretty much stayed green. And that's because we've stayed well above normal temperature-wise for the last couple of days and really all month. Last night, really the first really cold night that we've seen. So, we haven't got the 40 degrees that temperatures yet that they need up in the mountains on a consistent basis. That's what they need to spur fall color development here in North Carolina. We just getting that in the inland areas last night. Haven't looked at the lows yet for last night, but I know where I'm at, it was down into the low 50s. Same thing on the beaches, but inland areas, they were expected to get down into the 40s. So that's going to be delaying the color change. If you're headed out to the mountains over the next couple of weeks, that's why it's still kind of green out there. All right. What's going on in the tropics? Looks like, well, here's how it looks right now. Nothing at all. That's the 5-day graphical outlook from the National Hurricane Center this morning. No new tropical cyclones expected during the next 5 days. It's going to stay that way, although there is a little bit of activity possible, especially when you get fronts that come through. What we just had over the weekend on Saturday coming through. And this, when you get some of these, what'll happen is you can get these fronts to stall. And I'm going to take this out a little bit larger, give you a better idea. The areas that you see that are red and white, those are the areas expected to see some possible development next week. Right now, it's almost nothing. Up here in the Gulf, down in the Caribbean, of course, off our coast, and then even all the way back across the intertropical zone, the ITZ, back over to Africa. Everything's there's a little bit of possibility of seeing some development very far south. Usually with something like that, those usually end up in the Caribbean. But there is a possibility in the Caribbean itself that next week there might be some areas that could see some development in the next 10 days. So still a long ways to go. That is from the Climate Prediction Center, their maps. So, and Mike's weather page at Tropical Update, spaghettymodels.com. You can go there and find a lot of that stuff. But a break right now as far as the tropical weather. We're still stuck on Wanda on the names list. Looks like we're not going to see anything developing this week. Maybe next week, some areas of development possible in the center of the Caribbean, and that probably means a Gulf storm, or at least Mexico and Central America are going to be dealing with that. A little bit better chance of activity out in the ITZ, the intertropical zone, Cape Verde, possibility with a wave coming across off of Africa. But right now, it's pretty much been shut down. The activity has been shut down for the last, really, since early part of last week. We haven't seen anything, and it doesn't look like we're going to get anything anytime soon. So that's the latest on what's going on in the tropics. Again, a whole lot of nothing. We'll get to our forecast in just a second here. Let's do some sports for you. NFL yesterday, Panthers, yikes, had an opportunity against Minnesota, and then booted it in overtime. Minnesota wins 34-28. Kansas City let Washington hang around for a while and then pulled away 31-13. Baltimore downed the LA Chargers yesterday 34-6. I haven't even looked at what the scoreboard was last night. So let's see. I'm going to pull that up right now here. One thing I failed to do was get that. Yeah, it's Pittsburgh edged Seattle in overtime 23-20 tonight. You got Buffalo at Tennessee. Playoffs in baseball. Atlanta took a 2-0 series lead on the Dodgers with a win late last night in the NLCS. Game 3 of that series tomorrow. Game 3 tonight in the American League Championship Series at Fenway. Houston at Boston tied at 1 game apiece. In high school soccer today, Mania travels to Pasquotank. Edenton's at Currituck. Camden at Northeastern. Ocracoke at Beargrass. And Gates at Kip Pride as the regular season winds down. In the fall sports, volleyball today, Northeastern at Currituck. Last week of the regular season for volleyball. Next week's the last week for soccer. So volleyball playoff brackets will be coming out this weekend. And the volleyball playoffs start next week. High school football, we're down to just a couple of weeks left. Still some cancellations. Washington County's game last week was canceled, and this coming week was canceled because of COVID-19. We're still seeing that issue come up with several teams. And that's some of one reason our soccer and volleyball schedules around have been kind of few and far between. There have been a lot of breaks between games for these teams because of COVID-19 protocols. NASCAR at Texas yesterday, Kyle Larson won to clinch a berth in the championship 4. They head to Kansas this coming weekend. All right, OBX Today Weather Center forecast for today. Looking pretty decent. Sunny skies with a high 69. West winds, a little breezy though, at 15 to 20, gusts to 25 at times on the beaches. Inland areas are kind of the winds will lay down, but out there on the beach, it's going to get a little breezy because the water temperature on the Sound still be in the 70s and the air temperature is only being barely in the 70s. So getting that mixing that causes the winds. Tonight, clear, low 55 at the beach with northwest winds of 15 to 20. On Tuesday, sunny, high 70 with northwest winds 10 to 15, gusts to 20. Wednesday, sunny, 74. Thursday, sunny, 77. Friday, Saturday, chance of showers with a front coming through with highs around 75 Friday, 68 Saturday, 65 on Sunday. So starting to get that progress in those fronts about once a week coming through. We'll warm up a little bit, then drop right back down. Coastal rain forecast, we've got northwest winds 15 to 20 knots, 2-foot waves in the Sound, seas 3 to 5 feet. We do have a low risk of rip currents. Water temperature still 72. Next tide change in Oregon Inlet's a low tide at 1:30 this afternoon. Sunset tonight at 6:22. Sunrise tomorrow is at 7:12. Currently outside the studios in Uptown Nags Head, 58 degrees. And that is going to do it for this Monday edition of OBX Today here on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for joining us as always. Back with you tomorrow at 8 o'clock for the Tuesday edition of OBX Today Live. Let me finish saying my words. Have yourself a great Monday, everybody.